Hello and welcome to Nikolai's genetics lessons, and today's problem going to be about population genetics. And here's a problem. In population of gametes at the start of the generation, the frequency of the small t allele or recessive allele is 0.23. Calculate the frequency of the zygotes with heterozygous genotype. As usual, I recommend you to pause video here, try to solve this problem on your own first, and when you would be ready you can run video again and you can compare your answer with my answer and explanation. So, we are given a frequency of the recessive allele which equals to 0.23. So this is recessive allele T with a frequency of 0.23. What this information tells us? This information tells us that when we have two alleles, recessive allele T and dominant allele T, if we add these two numbers, we are always going to get 1 or 100%, because our gene pool consists of only these two alleles. So recessive allele plus dominant allele would make 100%. And it is very easy to calculate that frequency of the dominant allele T would be 0.77. So this is simple calculations. So if we know the frequency of the recessive allele, we can subtract this number from 1, and this is how we are going to get frequency of the dominant allele T. So we have a gene pool, and as you see, almost 3/4 are dominant allele in this gene pool, and recessive allele represent only about 1/4 of all alleles. And in diploid organism, and zygotes are diploid, this is fertilized egg, so two alleles can produce 3 genotypes. One would be homozygous dominant genotype, another one would be heterozygous genotype, and the last one would be homozygous recessive genotype. And in order to solve this problem, we also need to know Hardy-Weinberg formula, which states that the frequency of 3 genotypes would equal to p squared plus 2pq plus q squared. And as you see, p squared, in other words, we can say that this is p multiplied by p or t multiplied by t, and heterozygous genotype in our formula represented by 2pq, and homozygous recessive genotype represented by q squared or t multiplied by t. Now we can solve our problem in order to find frequency of this heterozygous genotype. So let me write down this part of the formula, 2pq, which stands for the heterozygous genotype, capital T and small t. We have to multiply 2 by number p. In our case, instead of p, we have dominant t, and q stands for the recessive t. So let me put this notation here. So p and q in our formula. So we have to multiply by number p, which is 0.77, and by number q, or recessive allele t, frequency is 0.23, and the answer would be 0.3542. So this is going to be frequency of this genotype. And I also have to say that when we add frequencies of all three genotypes, we will get 1 or 100%, because in our calculations 1 equal to 100%. And because this is a very easy question, I want to add a little bit extra to this question. So basically we already got our answer, but I also want to tell you that it is also very easy to find frequency of the homozygous dominant genotype. As you see, it equals to p squared, and p squared, or t in our example, so p squared would equal to, once again, this is equal to homozygous dominant genotype, so this would equal to 0.77 squared. And if we square this number, we are going to get 0.59 and 29. Once again, this is going to be frequency of the homozygous dominant genotype. And if we add these two numbers plus frequency of the homozygous recessive genotype, we should get 1 or 100%. So let's find frequency of the homozygous recessive genotype. In our calculations for homozygous recessive genotype, we have q squared, so this stands for the homozygous recessive genotype, and q, or small t in our formula, equals to 0.23 squared. So whether we can square this number, or we can add this number to this number and subtract from this number. This is how we are going to get frequency of the homozygous recessive genotype, or we can just square frequency of the q or t allele in our calculations. And as you see, the answer frequency of this homozygous recessive genotype would equal to 0.0529. So once again, we can put this frequency here, 0.0529, and as you see, if we add all these three frequencies, we are going to get 1 or 1 in our calculation. So we do all our calculations on the scale between 0 and 1. If we need an answer in percentage form, which is between 0 and 100%, we just have to multiply our any frequency by 100. So for example, frequency in percentage form here would be 5%, 0.29. Here frequency would be 35%, 0.42, and here we would have 59.29%. And this is all for today. Thank you for your attention. Please subscribe for my new videos that I post almost every day. Thumbs up if you like this video. Please write your comments, questions if you have any. And see you in the next video. Goodbye.